no. On PT boats, the Navy, for any size ship or boat, by the way, a boat can be hauled up on a ship, okay?
Okay.
But a ship can't be normally hauled by another ship.
Right.
But when the United States flag is damaged in action, it used to be, and this is a doggone good. The skipper we had, Mr. Saltman was his name. All the people are dead now. I called up our, let's call it a club,
Okay.
in Texas, and there's 2 guys alive, but I can't get a hold of them because apparently they're in some kind of nursing home.
I see.
Because when I call up, I get their wife, or it can't be the wife, I mean their mother, because they would be, well, no, they wouldn't be that old. I'm 91 now,
Yes, sir.
and I'm one of the oldest ones. I'm out of the 2,000 guys I know, and there's 2,000 PT people all over the world. I know that. But when the American flag is damaged in action, it's taken down, what you call decommission, and this here, ma'am, I don't mean to be rude, I want to get a book there. I want to show them something that's not, you don't want that. Oh, your folks might be,
Is it gone? Okay.
your folks could be, you got your uncles and grandpas could be in that book.
Cool. Really?
This is what a logbook's called.
Okay.
Okay.
Here, hold that up for me. I'm gonna get it in that camera. Okay.
Okay, that's a logbook, but it's too bad that and while you're, oh, excuse me,
You're fine.
I usually swear, doggone, and I'll be.
Here, let me. Here. You got
All
it.
right. Well, I can go over this with you. I
Okay.
can give this to you. You can look through that whenever you wanna, and
Okay.
there's different pictures in it.
Yes, sir.
And I'm very careful what pictures you could see, young man. Oh, and I got some pictures here too. Way back in Columbia, they have the Central Honor Society, I guess they call it.
Yes, sir.
I went on that way back about 2 or 3 years ago. It is beautiful.
Okay.
I don't know if you can ever take it, but and there used to be an actor that was a veteran, and well, I'll remember. Oh, there are some PT boats.
Wow.
The first ones. Go ahead, you can look through it.
Okay.
No one's gonna bother you, it's just you. Every year, the association, and there's one in Fall River, Massachusetts, the other one's in Memphis, Tennessee, if you've ever been down that part of the country.
Yes, sir.
They give out calendars, but they bug the heck out of you for donations, and I can't blame them. Now, there's no one running that are PT, ex-PT men. They're the kids. They call it the second, third generation.
Yes, sir.
And I get stuff from them, and they'll say this is the third classification because there's not many left. But you look through the, oh yeah, that's what I want to show you.
Okay.
You see this PT boat?
Yes, sir.
That's where the antenna is.
Okay.
Now, normally, this here is an antenna. I don't know what that is, but that's probably an antenna they had. But usually, in England, oh boy, the antenna, the American flag, is normally on a pole here.
Yes, sir.
So, the trouble is, you see that
Yeah.
antenna, or,
That's the flag right there? Maybe? I'm not
speak
sure.
up,
Is that the flag right there, maybe? I'm not sure.
is there a flag there?
I think so, it's kinda
Oh,
hidden.
yeah, there was, you're right, you got good eyesight. But didn't we had ours up here,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Oh, by the way, since we don't have a female, but the thing was, a PT boat only has one party
I see.
restroom,
Okay.
and that was up here,
Alright.
okay? And I had when I went on a boat, I gotta tell you this this should be an Elko, I guess.
Oh, okay.
The reason why the boats are different are the locations of the 220, the machine gun. That would be, on a normal PT boat, it's one here, one over there normally.
Okay,
If it's a Higgins, there was one here and one back there.
I see.
And the Elko, there's two types of boats. The Elko, EEO, that's made up in New York, New Jersey it is.
Okay.
All right? And there's a Higgins boat.
Higgins?
It's named after Mr. Higgins. It's one of the first PT boats we had. And those are made down in Louisiana.
Yes,
All right? That's the two boats they had. Boy, there's so doggone much. Oh, it is pitiful to try to explain. But I want you to go through these while you listen to my crap.
Yes, sir.
And you can see it has the different PT boats on it.
Yeah.
Right? I know they're old, some of them are old, but the boats are, you just go through that
Wow.
when you get a chance,
Yeah.
and I can talk to you on it, but that's all
Yes,
right.
sir.
A normal boat,
Oh, okay.
this actually, by the way, this
thing
actually
Does that?
had batteries.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It actually floats.
Boy,
Maybe?
this thing could go.
Yeah.
And during the time, I've had it now since 55,
Yeah.
1955, when I went, when my kids were small,
Yes, sir.
down to the Gasconade River that one Sunday.
Really?
And, but after that, I didn't give a shoot about a PT boat. But we had batteries, and you could set it, you had a
Oh, I see. Batteries one here.
and you
Okay.
had, see, I wanted to call the guy to find
Oh.
out how to fix it.
I
Because
see.
if I get the tailpiece in there, but on the boats, it was possible, because when I went out to the Pacific,
Yes, sir.
see, I had two duties. I had duties over in England, and now the English Channel, I was only over there for 6 months.
Really?
Because the Army, oh boy, oh boy. Boy. No, I did want to show you, the reason why, you know, I was wondering, yeah, I don't care where your folks are, but you had people that were in the service.
Yes, sir.
And being in the service, they
Typically
have been
unknown,
honored over there. The guys from Eugene, the Markways, remember them?
Yes.
They used to be I always remember them. It was two brothers, and
Yes,
I
sir.
guess they had some land there.
Okay.
But they were, one was sitting next to me on the airplane flight. On
Okay.
that yeah. But and this is a book they gave us, and they had a bunch of, I don't know what they had in here. Well, anyways, I got a lot of these pictures, and you can always, if you had uncles in the service, and
Yes,
I know you had to have,
Yes, sir.
that
One of those.
they were on the honor flight.
Yes, sir.
The older flights still go.
Right.
I mean, that was beautiful.
Mhm.
You flew from here, and then one day they landed in Baltimore. We went on the bus, and we went all through all the different memorials, and then that night we would catch the plane back.
Yes, sir.
But in one day, we went in Washington. What the heck was I talking about? I'll lose it, kid. So these, go ahead, let's just go through that, and then I won't rush you too
That's
much,
perfectly
okay?
fine, yeah, yeah.
So, now you can look through there, ask
Okay.
me anything you want.
Alright,
Now, I said anything.
I've got a few required questions, and then we can talk all you want about this stuff. I'm enjoying it so much. Okay, I need your last name, I need you to spell it, and then your first name and your middle initial.
My last name, I have a book here. Oh, here, this is a logbook. Gotta tell you about this.
Yes, sir.
If they had a way back, they would have got me on it. But as a coxswain, on PT boats, after I went in the service, in Newport, Rhode Island, they had the boot camp. It
Yes,
was
sir.
just 6 weeks.
Okay.
And in that, I don't know, on the boats, I wasn't in PTs from the beginning,
Okay.
but when I joined with this guy, military, for people to sign in,
Yes, sir.
when I turned 13, oh boy, I'll start from the beginning, let it fall. I come from a town, now when people say, where are you from? I'm from Wayland,
Okay.
W-A-Y-L-A-N-D. You ever hear of Lexington?
Yes, sir.
No, now, you think back, you've heard of Lexington, you've, go ahead.
Okay, like on the East Coast or is Lexington, Missouri?
There was a battle in Lexington, way back, couple hundred years ago. That's
So,
where the revolution
Revolutionary
started.
War, yeah.
Yeah.
Concord and Lexington, yes, sir.
Oh, I lived in Cambridge.
Okay,
Now, I know you heard of Cambridge, Massachusetts.
that sounds familiar.
We got one school, and there was something in the paper this morning about it, in the Tribune, that Harvard,
Okay, yes, sir.
yeah, and I mean, I was brought up, I'm an Italian descent.
Okay,
My father was, he came over from Italy when he was 10 years old.
okay,
And you say, why is 10? No, he was 10 years old because he's got the history that he was going to be forced into the army.
okay.
Now, they have kids hauling the water back then in World War I. I
Yes,
know
sir.
that's way back before your time. But they had kids hauling it, and they would punt. Oh, that's on.
Yes, sir.
They would have bad stories about those men grabbing the kids
Oh, okay.
as their
I see.
sexual partner.
Yes, sir.
But this was a thing normal for all armies.
Really?
That's the way they had it. And even nowadays, that's the way they recruit some of these kids, even in the ISS. And
Oh,
they
I see.
grab
Okay.
those young kids.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so in the Navy, the ocean fluctuates up and down.
Right. Yes, sir.
All right?
Okay.
You have high tide,
Low tide.
low tide.
Yes, sir.
Now, on the boats, they have areas where you can put a line down to and hook on to the boat, and one hooking on to the pier.
Okay.
Then they gotta be changed, because if they're not changed at a certain time, they're gonna pull that doggone anchor
Yes, sir.
or the part out of the top
Okay.
of the boat.
Yep.
This is on any ship they do it.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they have do in the service, there was 2 people that are useful. You don't even need, except to move that line
Yeah.
and untie it. Well, every time the boat went into dock, after we went and came back,
Right.
they would, I'd be up here on the boat, and he would, and he's, I don't know, there was one place here for an anchor, and they used here,
Okay.
and so we had to move those. All right, so me and the cook were the only 2 people on the boat. We had a cook, and he was a doggone good cook. He says he was, but we always ate in a chow hall or out of a box. They didn't need a cook, but we had a cook.
Really?
A second-class cook, Joe. And I remember, his responsibility was to keep me awake when we were in the dock and make sure I didn't doze off and that I adjusted the ropes
Okay. Yes, sir.
when we were in there. And at that time, Joe and I used to gamble.
Okay.
He did. He used me, I was only 17 years old. See, that's when I went
Wow.
into service. I was 17, but you were 17
Yes,
now.
sir.
And I thought I was a wise guy because I grew up in the city. And back then, and living in the city, like, what am I? I went to Concord Avenue. That's a street that leads to Harvard Square.
Okay.
I know everything about Harvard Square because I lived behind Harvard Square at one time when I was a little tot. I remember that.
Okay.
Living on Harvard. And the boats, when we pull in from the tour duty in the channel, the quartermaster would put everything in a logbook.
Yes, sir.
Now, most of it, now you can see it. You can see over here if you look at the time,
Okay.
Navy time.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
0, 1,
Yes.
that was 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And we used to pull duty in the channel. Where's all the action? It's at night. The Germans would try sneaking. Oh my gosh. Oh, here, the Army. Oh boy. I gotta, excuse me, I don't mean to.
You're
be
okay.
rude, but Normandy, I'll tell you about Normandy. All right?
Okay.
I know I jump around.
You're okay. You're fine.
Now, I was in the Normandy invasion.
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah, I consider my time in the military, I really enjoyed it.
Yes,
You're
sir.
saying, how the hell could a guy enjoy? I didn't enjoy seeing these guys get killed or
Right.
anything like that, but I was a country kid at the time because the last place I lived in before I went in the Navy was out in Wayland, and I moved out to Wayland from the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Yes, sir.
And I was a member of a gang. You had to belong to a gang. Yeah. And in a community I was in, it was always, and this is unusual, even when I became an old man and out in the country, Italians and Irish, Catholic,
Okay. Yes, sir.
and you say, boy, that's quite a mix. It was, but just take a think of it. Why did those 2 nationalities buddy around with each other? Grow up. Simple. They had the same religious belief.
I see.
Okay? That
Okay.
made a difference.
Yeah.
Some of them broke off.
Right.
The Irish broke off and the Italians broke off. But but when you were in the gang, you were a member of the gang,
Right.
all right?
Yes, sir.
So a group, the gang, this is out in the city too.
Yes, sir.
Now I remember the old days, them McLaughlins,
Yeah.
Conleys, some of my buddies, that's all they were. When we broke up, World War What started, that's when we seen each other the last time, I know that. Like, Bernie McClellan, he was like, he's dead now, but he was my buddy,
Yes, sir.
and there wasn't anything. Matter of fact, he won an automobile when he went to church, and the church had an auction.
I see.
And this is way, way back, and the car was only $400, but he couldn't pay for that.
Right.
See, he had the coupon, he won the thing, but his brother, Billy, could. Billy
see.
was the oldest one, so Billy got to drive the car,
Yeah.
and his brother went along with him, couldn't drive that thing there, but that's how the religions combined.
Yes, sir.
And that's the way it was in the sea, and you and I couldn't change it, but we seemed to have functioned pretty well back then.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, where were I at?
Okay.
Tell me, go ahead.
So these are the required questions, and if we get into something deeper, we'll just keep on going, and then.
Whoa, look at me. Well,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
tell you why. I got hearing aids.
Yes, sir.
I'll be a son of a gun. There was 3 battleships in the Normandy invasion.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Only 3. Nevada, Arkansas, and Texas.
Yes, sir.
In the invasion, okay, you're France. I'm over here in the channel. And they're invading, but the Germans had beautiful fighters they are.
Yes, sir.
Huh? Here's something. These aren't mine. You know who these belong to?
The German soldiers.
My grandson.
Oh, okay.
Way back when he was in the 2nd grade, I went to St. Louis.
Make sure we get these.
I went to St. Louis to his school
Yes, sir.
for a day there,
Yes, sir.
telling him about World War II. And I gave him these hats.
Yes, sir.
And about a year ago, this agent I had on military stuff
Mm-hmm.
wanted these hats so he could sell them for a couple $100 or so. All right? So I told my daughter about it, and I said, I gave these hats to your brother and he wore them around school way back.
Yes, sir.
I said, I'd like to have them back. She came back the next day and she said, Dad, I'm sorry, but he won't give you the hats.
Really?
And I gave him another thing. I gave him a hatchet, I call it.
I see.
It was, the people in the Philippines made it, gave me
Okay.
where you could
Yeah.
chop heads off.
Okay.
No, don't kid and get me in the subject. Those, I call them Muslims. I don't know what you call them,
Yes.
Muslims or something?
Muslims, yes, sir.
Huh?
Muslims, yes, sir.
Muslims,
Yeah.
I call them, they're still fighting over there. I'll tell you some stories about them over there,
Yes, sir.
and I hope I have time. And I have one buddy, he's probably dead by now, Joe.
Yes, sir.
After the Europe theater, I caught a boat and a ship going to the Philippines for about a year and a half.
Yes, sir.
And he was my buddy.
Mhm.
Now, my buddy was pretty doggone close. And I knew he was all right, and we got along fine, except we went up in a place called Luzon.
Okay.
It's up north,
Okay. Yes, sir.
and they were battling the Filipinos.
The Filipinos.
The Muslims were, yeah.
Okay.
And if I didn't have that buddy, they would have cut me to pieces probably
Really?
too, but they understood we were friends.
Yes, sir.
And Joe, okay, go ahead. You better ask me, otherwise you're gonna get me talking.
Okay. For the camera, what is your last name? I need you to.
Marcantonio, Marcantonio.
Okay, and then your first name and.
James. Now, I was, in the Italian religions that they had, you had a godfather.
Yes, sir.
My godfather was a, how can I say, a gentleman that was raised in Boston.
Okay.
His unit, his group controlled New England
So.
and different things. And I had a cousin, 13 kids, Uncle Joe. I remember I called Uncle Joe.
Yes, sir.
I used to say, yes sir, and no sir, Uncle Joe. He was about your size, and man, he was mean to me. You know, we'd go out in the country, he was mean.
Yes, sir.
Uncle Joe was the New England, group of New England. He was fruit and vegetable man to buy fruit and vegetables from.
Yes, sir.
His company he was in ran everything. I remember my Uncle Joe because I went out there one Sunday and I didn't want to go anymore because you avoided him.
Yes, sir.
And his kids were all mean suckers too, those country kids. 13 kids in the family.
Wow.
I know it, wow. And you ever see the, where you buy sandwiches as luncheon? A metal cab, not a cab, a food place. You could go up to the window on the outside and buy whatever you want.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Stainless steel, I remember they had New England tied up with that, I found out, in the stainless steel. Ask me questions, I give them.
Okay. What year were you born?
Boy, 26.
Okay.
Now, house baby. What is a house baby?
Born in the house?
Born
Not
in the house.
hospital.
Because, well, matter of fact, my last kid I had, I didn't have, my wife had, was $50 to have birth. And that was up in Michigan.
Okay.
And the place she was in, when I was up there teaching at the time, and I remember she was born up there for $50.
Yes, sir.
Money was.
Right.
When I worked in Raytheon, 65 cents an hour.
$50
That was
a lot
big
of money. Yeah.
Oh, that was big money. Right now, my wife always says I'm a cheapskate. And I said, we were taught to watch your money.
Right. Yes,
Money
sir.
was something. Here, you kids all had money. And go ahead, ask me some questions.
Okay. Where did you live whenever you became part of the military? So where did you live whenever you joined?
I was brought up behind Harvard. The town, now they were known as, I don't know, they were, those Harvard kids, I mean, Harvard owned 1/3 of the town of Cambridge. I remember
sir.
that way back because whatever the Cambridge people had in Harvard, they were a large employing unit.
Yes, sir.
And to be a Harvard kid, you had to be a brain. You probably know that now.
Smart, yeah.
Matter of fact, this one here used to, Central Methodist. You might have, a lot of kids from Alaska
Yes,
go to
sir.
Central Methodist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know why, but because I know they have a good name for themselves and they have good studies.
Yes, sir.
But in Cambridge, Massachusetts, you've heard of a
Rowing.
rowboat.
Yes, sir.
No, not a rowboat, it's a,
The sport? Or
what do you call it? Say what it
I
is.
thought it was rowing. I don't.
It's a all bunch of people pulling oars.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I forget what that is.
I can't remember the name,
Yeah.
but
But they were brains.
Yes, sir.
People
Very smart.
in Harvard, even today, there's a lot of them that get into it. But they controlled Cambridge, actually,
yes, sir.
people there. I remember all my Longfellows.
Okay.
You got a Longfellow, I think, is a cousin out here in California, on the way to California, the Longfellow place there.
Yes, sir.
But there was one thing when I was a kid, we went over to Mr. Longfellow's house and got his pigeons.
Okay.
His house was known, their pigeons were known as divers. I don't know if you know anything about pigeons. They had different, different things pigeons can do.
Yes, sir.
I mean, some of them could travel 2 or 3, 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
But we had our source of getting pigeons and bringing them back, catching them and bringing them back from the coop.
Yes, sir.
We did that way back when we were kids, but don't mention that to anyone. But it was a son of a gun. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. This is asking, what branch were you part of? Service branch?
Oh, Navy.
Okay.
Now, when I went in the Navy, I had to get permission from my folks, and I had to get permission way back because when I moved from Cambridge, it was suggested strongly by my father's lawyer to move me and the rest of my brothers to the country.
Just
Okay.
okay. To stay out of
that
trouble.
type of atmosphere
I see.
would be better because I was getting pretty strong in the gang.
Yes, sir.
He knew it.
Yeah.
He knew you couldn't help it. In a gang, you did everything in a gang.
Yeah.
And I was just a kid, so I wasn't the leader. So whatever the leader did, you fall right. I guess you still do it, don't you? You know, I always have people that are smarter than you on a team.
Yeah, that's
The guy
true.
used to feed me the ball.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Okay. Were you a volunteer or were you drafted?
I volunteered.
Okay.
When I was up in high school, now I had a small high school, you won't believe this. My high school in Wayland, we had about 35 kids graduate, but in the whole high school there was only 125 kids.
Wow.
Now this is a whole high school for that town.
Yes, sir.
You couldn't believe it. Now, if you went to that, and that's one simple reason. There was a few Italian descent people, a few Irish Catholics in town, and boy, we had to live separately over into a unit that was right next to the river. And it was a summer camp place, resort area where people lived. But I don't know what happened to it. It didn't continue on to be a high-class place.
Yes, sir.
So when we moved into it, that area, there was a bus that came by, picked us up in the morning.
Yes, sir.
All the kids went to school to the state requirement was to a grade school education,
Yes, sir.
and Massachusetts was a pretty good school. But nowadays, that same place has at least 20 to 30,000 kids in school.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Because then, way back in the 40s, it was no longer segregated.
Yes, sir.
Now get that. There were some Irish Catholics. I remember them, the dailies. down the street. Matter of fact, I called John, that's a lawyer, up about 2 or 3 weeks ago because we were good friends.
Yes, sir.
And we called him Dubba. You know what a Dubba? Someone playing basketball, couldn't shoot a basket.
Oh,
we
okay.
got- so
Yes,
we
sir.
said, we called him, not nowadays, you don't call him
Right.
Dubba. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I told my folks in high school, I said, I wanna go to work. I had to go to work because money was a tough situation.
Yes, sir.
But my two brothers went in the service. One of them went in the Air Force. Belonged to the CCs.
Okay.
Ever hear them?
I don't know. I've heard of them.
Conservation groups.
Okay.
Way back, he was in the service and he went to work there because he couldn't get a job unless it was for the government. And then it was only about $50 a month.
A month, yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's my brother Al. He's dead now. But he also went to college down in Miami, and his boy also was an All-American.
Really?
You can tell by one of the books I had.
Yes, sir.
Down there they played ball.
Mm.
I remember I went for 1 semester. By the way, I did go down there for 1 semester.
I see.
But anyways, I told the recruiter I wanted to go into service, but I didn't want no school. I want to go and fight. Now that's what I told him. And he says, okay, that's all right, and that's fine with us. So when I turned 17, I had to get my parents' permission at 17.
Yes, sir.
And when I turned 17, I went to the recruiting office. I was recruited, and he told me, come back in a couple of weeks, and we'll have a group of people together, which they
Yes, sir.
did. So that was November of 43.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went into that, and I wanted to go in the Navy. Right? The reason why I wanted to go in the Navy, when I moved out to the country, I was lucky enough to walk about 7 or 8 miles to a town called Framingham. You might have heard of them. Oh boy, nowadays it's a big company.
Yes, sir.
And the next town to us was called Saxonville.
Okay.
Alright? But I used to walk down to Saxonville. That was only about 3 miles away, and back when I was young,
Yes, sir.
walking, that's what you had to do. You didn't hitchhike too much. There wasn't too many cars.
Yeah.
Actually, where I lived was a river, I told you,
Okay.
way back. And the river had a high, a mountainous area around it, all the
Okay.
ways around
Yes,
that
sir.
Supper River, which went all the ways to Lexington.
Okay.
But had a bunch of people up there I heard about. I never did see them except one day of, what do they call them now? They used to have them down in Texas and everywhere, you people did.
Rodeo?
Go ahead, what are they?
Rodeo?
What are they?
In Texas?
They were mean. They would lynch people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
What
Yeah.
are they called?
Hanging?
Huh?
Is it a hanging? Is what you're talking
No,
about?
the double A, triple. They hated blacks.
Right. Yes, sir.
We just. Oh, shoot. You couldn't. We had in my town. We had my nationality, the Irish kids, and the other forbidden group were known as the blacks.
Yes,
There
sir.
was one individual that was a waiter in the town of Wayland. When you listen to town of Wayland, that was a rich country town. Now I'm saying rich. The kids didn't go to school in Wayland. They went to pep schools.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we had some pep school kids
Yes,
there. And we had different, now we have different religious groups have students there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what happened in that town. And then they were segregated.
Yes, sir.
They were segregated against all nationalities, unless you came from a nationality or lived in a certain neighborhood. Now that's the way it is with it was with the East Coast then. You went by nationalities.
Okay.
Now that's pretty hard to understand, because I remember I had Irish buddies, but then I went in East Boston to visit some of my kinfolks.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah.
They had their gangs too.
Right.
And it just depended upon, but that's why I liked it out in the country. I had, matter of fact, I guess there was two Italian families that I know now that existed in Wayland, all right? And that, the rest of Wayland, I can't think of any other nationalities, and that's funny that they just didn't go ahead. I couldn't believe it.
Yes, sir.
But on the team, on the different athletic teams we had, and we had some good coaches. We were a lot of the kids went to academy in the next town, Weston. You never heard of Weston yet?
No, sir.
Boy, it had a big brothers. It's well known now. What do they have there? Some national form of church for the Catholics. Not a Catholic church, but it was a special thing. Oh boy, I'm sorry. I don't.
No, you're
I
fine.
only
You're fine.
use it
I'm trying to think.
once in a while. Go ahead.
Where'd you go to basic training?
Huh?
Where'd you have basic training? Basic? Where'd you go to basic training?
Basic training in Newport, Rhode Island. Rhode Island. Rhode Island.
Yes, sir.
All right? That's where problems started for a young man. It
Yes, sir.
really did. Now, it was only 6 weeks. I loved physical things,
Mm-hmm.
running and everything, swimming,
Yes, sir.
but I ran, there's such a thing as a Jewish people.
Okay.
And the bosun's mate or whatever he was in the Quonset hut,
Yeah.
he's the boss, eh?
Yes, sir.
You respected that thing,
Mm-hmm.
except it was difficult to adjust to that
Yes, sir.
until they told me about my feature, my nose.
Mm.
And I had enough. Well, when I used to play football, you know what they put on me? There wasn't, way back then, you didn't have a mask. You had a plastic thing you could hook over your head
Yes, sir.
around your nose.
Okay.
Eventually in college, every summer, I went to over to Kansas to the hospital, VA hospital, had my nose operated on because it was all over from football.
Yes, sir.
Eh? Because all you could be wear that little thing over your nose.
Yeah.
So it caused a problem for me. Well, that guy took a dislike for me. I don't know why, but he just took a dislike. So I told him if he didn't like the damn thing, do something about it. So one day he walked up to me and he says, "I don't like your long nose." I said, "I'm sorry, but if you don't like it, correct it." And the poor guy, I felt sorry for him, I have, that he didn't know I had learned how to live in the city.
Yes, sir.
In Cambridge, which was a city, and I beat the living shit out.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah. I was pretty good.
Yes, sir.
And if I have time, I'll tell you later when I used to box on the ship going over with a national player. But so, anyways, I went in the Navy, did my boot camp, And I came in with a bunch of, now, me calling people foreigners, but there was foreigners I call them.
Yes, sir.
They were different nationalities from usual, first generations.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't even talk English, which was all right with me, but they, boot camp, they needed them in the service, they
Right.
put them in. And I was kind of smart, I guess, for the group they had there in the service. And they put a group of us, about 150 to 200, in school. I don't know if you ever heard of storekeepers.
Yes, sir.
No. That's a branch of the service where they supply clothes.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Because I had a cousin I met over in Cherbourg, England, France, that was a ship of storekeepers with clothes.
Okay.
But what was I talking about?
Storekeeper. Your cousin. Your cousin was a storekeeper.
Oh yeah. So after boot camp, you had to go to the outside of barracks and they list what the heck you signed up for. And I was signed up for storekeeper school. Well, that was, to me, that was like,
Yeah.
there were sweet things.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be a storekeeper. And I had a captain's bass. I put it in the book too. You can look at that, have to be 5 days, what they call piss and punk,
Okay.
bread and water.
Oh, I see.
That's a term they use. Okay, but before that, when I went to school for 2 weeks, and I was having a breeze through the school, I went to a school in Boston. Now get this, a place that was vacant. This is what I had, like a fool. I had maid service.
Yes, sir.
There was 8 of us in a room. They would make your bed every morning. They had a cafeteria.
Yes, sir.
You could order what you wanted for breakfast. I mean, they treated us like kings. I couldn't believe it. And we would march through the city to school, business school they call it down there,
Okay.
the storekeeper school. I told them I didn't want it, and I told the guy, I said, hey, I made an agreement that I would be placed on the ship or in service, and I wouldn't be going to school. I'm tired of school. I said, okay. And he said, you got to go to school, but you don't have to if you don't want to. We can give you 5 days bread and water.
Yes, sir.
I said, okay. So I took that. Now that was a stupid thing to do because it took me 2 years before I got my rate as a coxswain.
I see.
I was a wise ass, you could call me, really. And I belonged in the right place, PT boats.
Yes,
Boy,
sir.
don't get me going about them. We didn't even know what a uniform was like. You might have see some of the photographs here that are cute. We used to go bare-chested and everything.
I see one right here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was non-service. You
Right.
didn't salute. We didn't
Laid back.
salute anyone.
Yes, sir.
Or at least not the officers. Now, I had to salute admirals and stuff that I
Right.
had on during the invasion. We had like a taxi for those people.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And you had to know the routine.
Mm-hmm.
But I did my 5 days, and some of the guys that I knew, old people, that when I moved out to the country, that was 3 years out in the country I lived before I went in the service, that they were retired from the Navy,
Yes, sir.
but I loved it out there. That was over in Framingham, about 8 miles away. Sometimes I had to jog over there, or run most of the way. Very seldom could I catch a ride. There wasn't such thing as cars really out in the country there.
Yes, sir.
So, when I went in the brig, I met some of those guys that, on that, when I went to that meeting, over in Framingham, they had a place down in the, what they call down in Boston Harbor. They had a boat down there. Now it was a boat, because it was large,
Yes, sir.
and you could put it on a ship.
Okay.
Now there's a difference between a
Yes, sir.
ship and a boat.
Yes, sir.
And I would learn how to paint the boat, do what we call caulking.
Okay. Yes,
That's
sir.
where you
Sealing
put
the.
some, about their old boat,
Mhm.
and it took us 2 or 3 weeks to get that thing shipshape, we called
sir.
it. And we went on a cruise. There was about 25 guys on the trip, plus those old people. They were all old Navy men. And we went down to the Plymouth Rock. Ever heard of it?
Yes, yes, sir.
That was a beautiful thing to us.
Mhm.
I mean, most of the guys in the troop were poor. I know I was poor, but I know they were. Because when you started hopping around there or joining the Sea Scouts, so I went on a cruise, and I sure liked that.
Yes, sir.
Especially down there in Plymouth Rock, and then there was a place called Gloucester.
Okay.
Yeah, I talk different than you people, don't I? You talk different.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You do, I can tell. And I've been, when I was over in England, and I've been over there in the service in London. When I went on Liberty, I went to London, because at that time they had buzz bombs. You ever heard of buzz bomb?
Buzz ball.
The Germans
Oh,
was
yes. Okay. The
and beat the
Stuka, maybe?
crap out of it. Those Germans were smart son of a guns.
They were, yes,
And I got and actually, this place around here is German. I noticed it right
Yeah.
and up in Lynn,
Yes, sir.
or out in Centertown, where
Yeah.
my kids
Yeah.
used to live.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
There's
I remember over in France we had trouble fighting because of the hedges.
the hedgerows. Okay. Yes,
Different,
sir.
and they have them in France, so we had them up at Centertown.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever noticed that, but I'm Italian descent, and they noticed that out there in Lynn, right from the beginning. I used to teach.
Yeah.
And I talked different than some of the kids.
Mhm.
And I had, way back, the state of Missouri came out with a law, all graduates had to have 1 year of history, Missouri history. All right? So, and I know you have it here. I was fortunate enough to get that as a class I taught. So I had to learn about Missouri history.
Yes, sir.
But I knew a lot more about Missouri history than most of the kids, because I moved into this country when I went to college.
Mhm.
So it made a difference. Okay, I go back to that. Oh, so I went to boot camp. I got in that fight. I didn't do time for it, because that Jewish boy, whoever he was smart enough to keep it quiet too.
Yes, sir.
And he ran the Quonset hut, and I went by the ruling of the Quonset hut,
Right.
and that made sure I just went right into it. So then I went in the Navy. That was tough. Leaving that school and going into Fargoville, and I worked in there for about a month and a half. That's a big a big building, and maybe about, at times, 5,000 to 6,000 guys in there.
Yes, sir.
Navy. And that's where I first appreciated what you probably don't know, and I wish we had I worked down the lobby and do whatever chores on that, there,
Yes, sir.
on that base. That's what, I was a work gang, I belonged to the work gang.
Yes, sir.
Unload this or that, or
Yeah.
do this or that, pull. Now snowstorms out there, snow used to get foot high.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Mhm.
I went through many snowy, and I was on, I used to laugh on the security squad with a carbine, and I strapped on the 45, and we were allowed to shoot live ammunition
Yes, sir.
on that base. Now that was a big base with a high thing to get into, but from there, I ran into some of my buddies that was in the Sea Scouts.
Okay.
Those old men that were retired became activated by the Navy. I mean, these guys were old,
Yes, sir.
60 and so on. But the Navy used them. They were pretty sharp guys because they had gone through the Navy. Back the Navy and before the war, they had people in there normally for 20, 25 years.
Yes, sir.
They didn't have no boot campers like I was, really, they didn't. So they made a difference with them. So, for the life of me, till this day I don't know why, and I used to be a mean son of a gun. I never was raised that way,
Yes, sir.
but compare a city kid, that made a difference, compared to that city kid. And I was assigned, someone, they knew about World War II months ago, I found out. Because they assigned me after about a month at the Fargo building, after my punishment, and that was a pretty stiff punishment.
Yes, sir.
But I remember at the time I went with a black eye.
Okay.
And for 2 days at that jail, all they could do was, I want a big fat mama, big and round, I want a big fat mama that could go, talking like that. That's all he sang all day long, see? I didn't realize there was a person that was of the opposite race than what I was associated with. Right? So I got accustomed here at school more so because you associated with different races. I thought you did now. So it made a difference. I remember even I remember the Catholic kids at Central. Oh, that's another story. So I went to school in a place called Melville, Rhode Island.
Yes, sir.
And all it had was Quonset huts. You know what a Quonset hut is?
No, sir.
Look, you ever been to California?
Yes, sir.
Ever been to Mr. Lukameyer's place out there?
Oh, okay. I see. All right.
He said, how's that guy know Lukameyer? One of my daughters married a Lukameyer, Nick.
Okay.
And I fell into that family out out there. Very lucky. Very lucky. They have helped quite a bit. Our family, I know that because, well, I don't know what the heck. What was I talking about?
You're related to the Luchtemeyers, you said?
Out in the country?
Mm-hmm.
World War. Okay, I'll get back to the war for you. Over there, there was 3 battleships, 3 cruisers, Tuscaloosa,
Okay.
Quincy, and Augusta.
Okay.
I used to memorize them. That used to be a job for me, but I remember that Texas, their guns.
Texas is big. Yeah.
The Germans were smart. You know, they had years to build up.
Right.
I mean, normally some of the guns there that on the cruisers wouldn't reach the German places there. Up in the hill of Cherbourg that part of